Hello, welcome to the CRL Show. On this edition, we'll catch up on some magic moments. We'll go around the groups, got our tries of the week, big hits of the week, big news coming out of Fiji, obviously, preview Illawarra, and also a Group 7 team won a trophy, beat a couple of international teams. That's all coming up on the Country Rugby League Show. Yeah, another big episode. I'm Paul Arandale.
I'm Geoff Stevenson.
Thanks for joining us. Lots to get through. Although it was a bit of a quiet weekend, there was still plenty of footy around the traps. Did you get out anywhere on the weekend?
Yeah, we got down to Melbourne. We'll talk about that later to watch the mighty Silktails. What a game that was in Jersey Flegg. There wasn't a lot of footy around. It feels like the calm before the storm, though. The amount of teams, if you're looking on social media and stuff, the amount of country rugby league teams that are just busting to kick off their comps. It's going to be a great weekend ahead.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit weird. Some comps started a fortnight ago, had the weekend off over Easter, and now they get back into it. Massive weekend for us on BarTV. But so a lot of comps kicking off as well. But you touched on the Silktails. I know this is the Country Rugby League Show, Community Rugby League Show, but we have to touch on the Silktails. Magic moment, winning their first ever game in Australia after a couple of years of attempting it. They're still celebrating over there apparently in Fiji.
Yeah, and what blew me away was if you watch the game, you watch the highlights, it's worth watching the BarTV highlights, the mini game. You wouldn't think they're a team that haven't won in Australia. But they'd won a few close games in Fiji this year. They beat the Dragons and they beat the Knights. They were won by, I think, 1 point or 2 points. This one, they dominated. Really, the score doesn't do it. I know it's an old saying, but the score doesn't do it justice. They're up by 14 with not long to go, and there's a late try, but really, they could have won by 20 or
yeah, they could have,
in the end. They were really playing well.
Yeah. So well done to Kaiviti Silktails, and also a couple of other magic moments from the Harold Matthews, real nail-biters. It was the Roosters v Roosters in one semi-final, so Central Coast v Sydney. I wonder who Uncle Nick was going for in that game.
I need to go to the game and yell at up the Roosters and I'm just a wag that wants to do that. What's he saying?
I'm glad they got the jerseys sorted too. One did wear the away white shirt and the other one.
Yeah, nice.
So that was a bonus. Central Coast winning 36-30. Sydney Roosters made a late comeback, but Central Coast winning. And then the other one between Souths and Illawarra. Illawarra led with about 2 minutes to go. A cross kick, South Sydney scored to win their way through to the next stage of the semi-final. So two absolutely belters in the Harold Mats.
Yeah, one of those ones I was talking about with the Silktails there, where memories are kind of made from these games, because the players in them won't forget, especially the winning teams. I mean, the losing teams will probably not forget either. But, this is stuff that they'll be talking about in years to come. There's fantastic results.
Yeah. All right, let's get into results on the weekend. There's still plenty of footy that happened around the traps. We'll get into the Knock-On Effect Cup. It was round 7. First of all, Canterbury thrashed South 62-18. Penrith 32-6 over the Sydney Roosters, and Parramatta 22-10 over West. That game on the Monday. Warriors 40-12 over the Dragons. Newcastle 40-12 over Newtown. Actually, that was the other way around. Wishful thinking. Newtown 40, the Knights 12, and Canberra 46-12 over Manly. Norths had the bye. I covered that Knights v Jets game on Sunday at McDonald Jones Stadium, and if you thought I had a bit of trouble, it was because at one stage, or for about 10-15 minutes, so I had to film, be the cameraman and call at the same time. It was pretty tough. So apologies there if I got a few things wrong, because I was multitasking.
Also, you don't credit yourself the other fact that over a weekend you've called, how many games did you call on the weekend?
4.
Yeah. So this is not just like rocking up, oh, geez, I had a busy afternoon. You're in the middle of a lot of calling.
Look, I did 4 over a weekend. I think Sully did 4 or 5 on a day. So, yeah.
You guys are amazing.
What else? More results, Geoff. We'll go through the Jersey Flegg as well. Souths won 30-6 over Canterbury. Penrith 40-12 over Sydney Roosters. Parramatta 34-26 over the West Tigers. Warriors 36-30 over the Dragons. The Silktails 34-26 over Melbourne. Cronulla 34-28 over Newcastle. And Canberra 56-24 over Manly as Jersey Flegg round 7.
Yeah, Newcastle Denton Engineering Cup kicked off round 2. This did remind me where I was going to be, because I was going to go to this game. It was unfortunately postponed, Central versus Wyong. They got a bit of rain. And then they got a bit more rain. I thought it still could have been on, but luckily I messaged you and you said it's off. So
I'm still waiting to be contacted by Newcastle Rugby League. Say, hey Paul, you're not here. You're going over there now.
I'm glad you contacted me, because I was going to go and sit and drive to an empty park. Lakes defeated Curry 34-6. West were comfortable against the entrance 22-0. Close game. That was a cracker of a game that you called between Maitland and Macquarie. Maitland winning 22-20, and South defeating Northern 36-18.
Yeah, some good crowds on the weekend, especially that Curry game against Lakes. It was a really big crowd up there, so it's great. We go to New South Wales Junior Reps, Lisa Fiola Cup. It was week 2 semi-finals. West Tigers 24-18 over Cronulla, and Parramatta 26-12 over Penrith. Tarsha Gale, Sydney Roosters won 22-16 over West Tigers, and Parramatta 28-14 over Penrith in the Tarsha Gale Cup.
Yeah, the Harold Mats, as we talked about earlier, South going down to Central Coast 36-30, and Illawarra going down to South 18-14.
May as well keep going the SG
I'll keep
ball,
going
mate,
in the ball. Parramatta defeated Melbourne 24-12, and Canberra too strong for Canterbury 38-22. In rounds almost everywhere that were bathed in sunshine. It was a fantastic week. I was watching it thinking, God, I hope they have this next weekend with all these other comps kicking off. But the rain seems to have arrived in some parts of the state already. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, just that little bit of rain. I think it was Thursday morning or even Wednesday night was why the Central Wyong game was called off.
And it was just spurts of rain. Then, but come Friday, it was just beautiful weather. So anyway, hopefully we get that again. Great time of year to be watching footy at the ground or on BarTV.
Yeah. All right, it's time for our big hits of the week. There was certainly plenty of contenders. Sione Matauti on his own, he could have had 5 in there. He put some big hits on against Curry, but we've picked one out anyway of his. But here are our big hits of the week. All right, first up, it's Puavasa of the Manly Sea Eagles.
He goes to the open, sees a gap himself, it stops. Wakeham put him on his back, and then came Puavasa there to finish him off.
Talia Afungia of the Penrith Panthers.
Good shot over the top. That was a bone rattler.
Wesley Pakoti of the Parramatta Eels.
Good shot there on Micah Werner. Underneath the rib cage, and he's felt that one.
Sione Matautia, Lakes United Seagulls. And finally, Blake Woodford of the Macquarie Scorpions. Played on the 10, Van Dardel at dummy half. Brock Lamb, inside runner, here's Spruce, and he's wrapped up. Good shot here. Blake Woodford, it's very slow as Harrison Spruce, I don't blame him. All right, there are our big hits of the week. If you've seen better, let us know via social media. We're on, I think, everything except MySpace. We did delete that account, unfortunately. But, let us know. Big hits.
Yeah, some massive hits there. And you see players like Sione Matautia come back from professional footy and you think, oh, they're going to throw everything into it, look after their body a bit, take it easy. But he wasn't doing that on the weekend, and there's a few players like that were going pretty hard early in the season.
Which one was your favourite, if you had to pick one?
Oh, Talia, I can't remember. Talia, the
fungi?
Yeah, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, that really, she stopped the opposition.
Yeah.
Bang, there and then. Fantastic hit.
Yeah, so if you're listening, be sure to check out the big hits of the week. All right, let's moving along. We'll get into around the groups.
Yeah, there's a bit of stuff going on. I'm going to talk Illawarra Harrigan Cup.
Yep.
Which is starting up. There's so many comps starting up this week, but we thought we might touch on that because been a bit of movement in the off season, and it's interesting to have a look at where the teams are sitting at with that kind of stuff. But first, we've got another Magic Round kicking off this year.
Ooh.
31st of May, the Group 7 Magic Round is going to be happening.
Yeah.
I talk about it. I love it when they don't just say we're going to have a Magic Round, they expand it. It's going to be a beer, footy and food festival.
Nice.
With, they just sort of put in brackets like things for the kids to do as well. So I think it's just like, there's the bouncing castle. Okay, we're going to go over to the food and beer. We'll see you in a couple of hours kind of thing. So, it's going to be at Royal Artie Smith Oval at Bomaderry on the 31st of May. The kickoff, I think the first game's at 12. The Magpies are playing the Bulldogs, and then the last game's the Stingrays at Gerringong at 5:15 with the others in the middle kind of thing.
Nice.
So that'll be a cracker. And I think it's sort of great because I love travelling down around coastal areas and stuff like that. But that time of year, I guess you kind of need something else because often the weather can be a bit iffy. You're not going to swim. You're not going to do that kind of stuff. But I'd love if some people, like if you're living a couple of hours away or Sydney or up north of that, it'd be a great weekend away.
What date's is it?
31st of May.
All right. Well, get a bit closer. We'll get a bit more information on that. So, people do want to travel to Nowra or Bomaderry.
So
Berry's not too far up the road. There's plenty of accommodation around that area.
You may see me there. I'm looking at that going, oh, geez, it'd be very tempting to get there. No, it won't be there. It'll come up quick too, We're already in late April. So, start making your plans, guys. Just a bit of sort of Woodbridge Cup news, really. Something I sort of read through the week that I didn't realise had happened, that the Castlereagh League were struggling to put a youth team together, a youth comp together.
Yep.
So good on the Narromine Jets and good on the Woodbridge Cup. They've organised to play the youth team in the Woodbridge Cup this season. So it sort of gives, I think, what Narromine said was the kids are keen. They want to have a comp, but the comp folded.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough.
Yep.
Young players out there in the Castlereagh League area for it to happen. So they're shifting over to the Woodbridge Cup, which I think would be great for the young guys playing against some pretty, weather-weary old fellas in the Woodbridge Cup as well. But also, it's great. It made me think that some of these community comps, Hayseed League and stuff like that, that could be another avenue for some bigger teams to go, look, we could play in youth. I mean, if there's a youth comp to go with it. But if there isn't...
So the Woodbridge do have a youth cup too, so they filter, the 3 or 4 teams that are available, go and filter in that.
Yeah. So it's just sort of... different way of looking at it. Rather than, I just really like how Narromine have just worked with, obviously, the Woodbridge Cup and the Castlereagh League to make that happen.
Nice.
Because those guys have got a game now, which is fantastic. They played last week, so their first round, or the week before, and they lost to Orange United 24-16. So it's not also like they're getting towed up so far. It looks like they're putting in a performance, so it's fantastic. Another just little tidbit. This covers a couple of codes. I know we don't talk rugby much, but I think this is really, it is about rugby league as well.
Yeah, okay.
But and it's a bigger picture stuff. The Timor-Leste, there's a rugby club and the organisation over there are looking for anyone's old boots. So boots for juniors particularly. I've got my thongs on right now, so there we go.
Got some here.
We get some over there right now. But it made me think, like I've had, kids of my own that have played different sports and stuff, and they say they grow out of them. Like you wear them for a season, they grow out. Depending on the kid, you might not have got much wear out of them.
No.
And other people might have just had ones that never fitted, or ones that like the kids were going to play that season and they pulled out or hurt themselves and stuff like that. So if you are interested, I think you just need to, there's a website, Dilly/rugby. So that's the best place to find information. The info that I found wasn't that comprehensive. It didn't say send them here or send them there. But if you do, I'm thinking more of a club. If a club out there is interested and says, look, we've got some bits out the back and you can, put it out there on your socials, it'd be fantastic to get some. Because again, reason is that you've got a bunch of young players. This was a war-torn place, not that long ago.
Yep.
And now we've got some the younger generation out there are going to have a game want to have a game of footy. So
nice.
Get it out there. Like I said, Dilly Rugby I think is a rugby club.
Yep.
But like many parts of the world, rugby and rugby league are played by the same club. They don't go, oh no, we're going to stay away from rugby league and vice versa. So that'll be a really good cause if anyone can get some out there. Like I said, maybe looking at clubs to contact and say, look, how do we get those boots to you and go from there?
Yep.
Illawarra, Harrigan Cup.
Yeah.
Now, we're sort of talking off-season sort of movements and stuff like that. West of the Premiers, they won the Premiers Challenge Cup, what was that called? They
beat Gerringong there last month. Yep.
Last month, so their preparations are looking good, that kind of stuff. But there's been a bit of movement around. West, of course, coming in with a lot of confidence. They've signed Tepi Morea. Tepai Morea?
Yeah.
Former Eels Storm player.
Yeah, yep.
He was a Waratah as well. I completely forgot about that.
I think he was also like an Olympian, possibly.
Yeah.
Something, maybe Commonwealth
guy.
Games. Yeah.
One thing, he was playing for North Sydney last year, so I was in the sort of the knock-on effect cup. One of those things when you see these players coming into the kind of country rugby league comps is their age, and he's 29 years old.
Yeah, right.
So he's the kind of guy that could play for at least another 5-6 years.
Easy, yeah.
They've also, they've retained Dane Chisholm, who's their halfback, and George Jennings and stuff like that. So it's a pretty quality team to add a bit of depth to or a quality to.
Tortai Moga there as well, still.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So we're looking at a pretty good team premiership-wise. The Thurul were the runners-up last year, or the grand finalists. Their legendary player, halfback, Jared Boyle, retired last year.
Yep.
And I think a lot of players in the past few months is considering coming out of retirement.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm sure there will be people out there, either rugby league players or families of rugby league players or partners of rugby league players that have had retirement might have been a bit premature. I've got the itch. It's getting cold. I see all my mates out there doing training, and I might be interested. So that would be big news, because Jared Boyle is just an absolute legend down there. And he got injured during the grand final, so he might have just thought, look,
one last one.
I've lost the grand final, and I've actually haven't been able to finish that. I've got some unfinished business. The biggest rumour, I don't know if it's a rumour or not, this is an interesting one. De La Salle may have signed Andrew Fafita.
Okay,
So
he's down that way coaching the juniors.
Yeah. Now, when I say might have signed, you'll see a photo there. He's actually played in their pre-season trials.
Yeah, if you're listening, you have to pull over and to see the photo.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's David Fafita that's playing for Kincumber.
Yeah, so this is his brother, and this is the one that probably achieved a little bit more in his professional career, if that's the nicest way of saying it. But he's played their pre-season trials, but the coaches and everyone at De La Salle is playing they're stum. They're like, I don't know, maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. I'm like, well, if you see a guy in your colours playing in your team, there's a very
player unknown. I'm sure it'll be in the Play an RL website come Thursday, Friday.
Exactly. Yeah. So you'll probably by now you'll have a rough idea on whether he's going to play or not. But that'll be a big. He looks pretty fit. He he's coming straight off his professional career as well. So things are looking interesting for De La Salle. Collies are welcoming back Callum Gromek, who he was a fullback and he was a player of the year in the Illawarra comp a few years ago. He returns from the Roosters, so he went to the Roosters and kind of tried his hand in playing potentially in NRL footy, and he's back. So they've got some interest there in getting him back. He might just prove the difference. He's one of those kind of players, like breakaway kind of players. The Canaries, Dapto Canaries, have signed Patrick Herbert.
Okay, yeah.
The centre for, I thought he played at an international level, but he definitely played for the Dragons and the Warriors. He played for the Gold Coast, I think, most recently. Again, he's 28 years old.
Yep.
So he's got, not that age is everything, but, he's still got a lot to offer when it comes to that and many years ahead of him. They've also signed Paul McGregor as their Director of Coaching down at Dapto.
Yep.
So, that's pretty... We talk about player signing.
Yeah.
That's pretty big news when you've got a former NRL coach there. And I like the idea of being a director. So he's not going to coach necessarily, on the ground, but he's going to be able to sort of...
So he could be the Gus Gould of Wollongong.
The Gus Gould of Dapto.
Yeah.
That sounds perfect. But they've also lost Joey Leilua and Peter Goodinay over the off-season. So a bit of a balance there. And Corrimal, finally. They've signed, their major sort of signing is Tom Carr, who he played a heap of knock-on effect cup over the years. He played for South and the Dragons. I can't think of where else I've seen him. But he's back in centre. He's a Illawarra junior. So all teams seem to have added a bit.
Yeah,
kind of
nice.
thing.
Yep.
As well as retained. There doesn't seem to have been a lot of significant losses amongst those teams. So, like I say, Tortai Mogus is still at West and that kind of stuff. So, it's going to be a very interesting comp.
Yeah, it cops a lot of criticism, the Illawarra comp, because it's 6 teams. I'm pretty sure Group 21's 6 teams, and there's a few other comps that don't have any more than 6. So I can't see anything wrong with it, really.
No.
Short and sweet comps are better than, at least they get to play, they play each other 3 times there.
Yeah.
Down at Illawarra, but at least it's sort of, they get to play each other once, twice, 3 times.
And there's
other comps don't.
You look across the region, and it's like there's depth within that. Like there's other in the Harrigan Plate. There's Berkeley Vale and a bunch of other teams that, if they really wanted to press for playing Cup, they could.
I think they always want to. They just don't have the depth, unfortunately. Helensburgh was there. Berkeley Vale were back, probably pre-COVID. I'm going back 17, 16 maybe. But, they're just so strong, that cluster of 5 teams there. 4 or 5 teams there that it's very hard for the others. So, but it's still a very good comp.
Yeah, and when you go through the teams like we have today, there's quality in all the when you have less teams, sometimes you're like, you don't have the team that's going to struggle to win a game.
Yeah,
I don't think there will be. I actually think it's a very open comp this year.
Yep,
Wests are going to be tricky, and Thurul are strong, but De La Salle are there sniffing about like they did last season.
Yep.
Dapto have kind of improved. The Collies are always competitive, and Corrimal always there. So I prefer this kind of comp rather than throwing in, a bunch of other teams that may not be competitive, and letting them play the play, letting Helensburgh build, and that might be in a few years' time. They've got the resources and the players to compete at top level, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Well, that's my around the groups for now.
Yeah,
It's been sort of quiet. There's a bit of other stuff bouncing around.
Yeah, we'll go down a bit further. Group 7, as you said, they got the Magic round coming up, but down in their Regan Cup, their 3rd division, if you like to call it, Robertson Spuddies, they've won their 2nd Rotterdam Nines over there in the Netherlands.
Absolutely fantastic.
Not too many teams could make a claim that they've beaten 2 technically international teams.
Yeah.
They beat German Exiles 22-14 in their 2nd game, and went on in game 4 to also defeat the Netherlands national team. Now, I don't know if they were fully strong or whatever, but they lost to Cockermouth in their first game, but they actually beat Cockermouth in the grand final 12-8. So.
And Cockermouth is not to be taken lightly, because they are a Cumbrian team. So, this is rugby league heartland to the north of sort of Liverpool kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, we're not talking about just a thrown together team from somewhere.
Yeah.
They've done really well. And like I said, I can't remember the last time Robertson ever played a nation, but it could be a first.
Could be a good trivia question out there. Any of the history buffs? How many country rugby league teams have beaten international teams? And I'm not talking about Western Division or Riverina. I'm talking about clubs like Robertson.
Yeah,
but there wouldn't be too many.
Just remembered now, because I remember you had that excellent book from down that way.
Yeah, they'll have to write a new chapter.
Yeah, they'll have to add to it. But I think I remember flicking a page open, because I was really into this. Like every page of it was quality. And it was about Robertson hosting the touring United States rugby league team in the 1910s. Like it was so early. It was a long time ago. Maybe it was later than that, maybe 60s or something. But so maybe Robertson does have a history of hosting international teams. But they dominated. Yeah. They did well. Rotterdam. It'd be a great experience, win, lose or draw, really, for a club.
Well, it's been going for a number of years, the Rotterdam Nines. It sort of flies under the radar, but it's great to see an Aussie team and, as a Cumbrian team, going over there and competing.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a pre-season trip for a lot of teams, a bit of a bonding session.
It might be that, like, Robertson isn't the biggest, most high-profile team in the country. There might be other teams hearing that and going, oh, they've won a couple of them. It's not just about winning. Why didn't we think about doing that in the pre-season? I guess everyone's probably paying their own way in one way or another. But some bigger teams might be like, oh, guys, who's interested? You might get a whole bunch of players going.
There's a kangaroo tour at the end of the year. Maybe they can, some of the country teams end of season trips go to the UK and
Yeah.
play curtain raisers at smaller grounds.
Fantastic. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, big news.
It's around the groups. All right. Some good stuff there. Plenty of good stuff coming your way. There's lots of good tries that happened over the weekend. Here's 5 that we thought were pretty damn good. Again, so if you've seen better, let us know through social media. Contact bartv.com.au. We'd love to see them and share them. But here are our top 5 tries of the week. First up, Riley Frame, South Sydney Rabbitohs. Just backing up here as the halfback now. Watch this pass here over the shoulder. Nice.
Just knew he was there. Did he call it, or he just saw him out of his periphery? It's fantastic.
Sequel and Matt Sopalola are the Maitland Pickers.
Territory. Lamb looking for a runner. He finds Knight. Knight pops the pass to Daniel Lingbridge, linking up here with Barber onto Sopalola. Dailu's coming across, so too favourite. Sopalola's going to dive in the corner and playing it down. Touchies like it. So do the Pickers.
Third one, Sonny McGregor, Illawarra Steelers.
Chusas, captain of the Bunnies. There's Humphreys. Hoiks one up in the air. Over to goes up and high points the ball there. That's Mifo. Mifo gets it out to McGregor. Sonny McGregor's over in the corner.
Ravi Tulavu, Sydney Roosters.
Only 2 minutes left. 36-24. Down this grandstand edge. Uho got numbers lining up. Pops the pass. He's going to grab 3. Ravi Tulavu, he'll bring it around after some great work off the kickoff.
And finally, Barley Vaticalo of the Kaiviti Silktails.
This is the top. No man's land. Let's play on here. Eugene.
Off the toe.
Potato back. Play on here. There's a chance. Centre Bill going for the corner. There's plenty of Storm jerseys there. He's still going. Centre Bill pops it back inside.
Is he in?
Valu gets the ball down. Silktails get there 4.
Oh, wow.
I do not know what happened back there, but somehow Fiji have pulled one out of you-know-what to score there.
5 pretty damn good tries there.
Yeah, a lot of flick, lot of movement where you almost think they just knew the player was there. That Riley Frame flick.
Yeah.
Where it was like he just had his teammate there good to go. Or it's Frame scoring it, sorry.
Yeah.
Waiting for the ball. It was fantastic.
Should I ask if you had a favourite? Which one?
I think the Vale Vetakulu try. They were all very good.
Yeah.
But I think we were watching it live, obviously, and that second kick, I just thought he'd thrown a boot out, but he was so quick at catching the ball and chipping again. I don't know how. It's a bit like watching cricket and how quickly they have to react to a ball being bowled. He had milliseconds to go, I'll throw a kick in. It turned to be a cracker of a kick. And then there was still plenty to do.
Yeah.
And Vetakulu had to work pretty hard to get the ball out. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can't coach that type of stuff, that type of reaction,
No, and there was a bit of that all week. I don't know, it's because we're dealing with juniors who I think just love to throw the ball around. And the Fijian team, the Silktails, they were really just throwing caution to the wind a fair bit. It was fantastic.
All right, we'll get into the fixtures this weekend on BarTV. As I said, there's a lot of comps kicking off, coming back or whatever, so we'll get through these the best we can as we just shuffle out bits of paper. I'll start off with New South Wales Cup Round 8. Dragons host Manly, Saturday 1 o'clock. Warriors host the Newcastle Knights. I think it's 12 p.m. Eastern Seaboard time. South and Parramatta at 2, West and Newtown at 2 all Saturday. Canterbury v Penrith 3 p.m. on Saturday, and Canberra hosts North Sydney Sunday on 4 o'clock.
Right, yeah, I'll go with Denton Engineering, round 3. Newcastle Wyong, Thursday night footy. Okay, it'll definitely be on. I can't wait to be watching on BarTV. Wyong host Northern at 7:45. And on Friday, Lakes play the Entrance at 1 and Central play West at 3. Friday evening, I guess, let's not play Macquarie, and Maitland hosts Souths on Saturday at 3:15, Curry of the Bye.
Round 8, Jersey Fleek. Sydney hosts the Kaiviti Silktails. Now, as we're recording this, it'll be played somewhere, sometime, so just make sure you check back. Dragons host Manly Saturday at 11:15. Warriors and Newcastle at 10 a.m. South and Parramatta and West v Cronulla, Canterbury v Penrith, all Saturday 12 p.m. And then Saturday at 12:15 is Canberra v Melbourne.
Yeah, Group 7, Round 3 is underway after a break. Milton are hosting Albion Park on Saturday at 3. Jamboree against Nowra, hosting Nowra at 3 on Saturday. Stingrays against Berry on Sunday at 3. And Kiama and Shellharbour Sunday at 3 o'clock as well. Gerringong with the bye this week.
Ron Massey Cup, Round 6. Mounties do battle with Glebe. Canterbury hosts St Mary's. Hills Bulls v Wentworthville, and Blacktown and Ryde Eastwood.
Right, now down to Canberra, round 3. We've got the Blues are hosting Gungahlin on Saturday at 3. Yes, playing Woden Valley as well on Saturday at 3. Goulburn City Bulldogs are hosting Belconnen at 3 on Saturday. And West Bell against Tuggeranong on Sunday at 3, with the Roos having the bye.
Nice. New South Wales junior reps, so I'll go through a couple here. On Saturday, we've got the Lisa Fiola Cup and Tasha Gale Cups, both at Dudley, Chesham, the Oaks. So head down there. Kicking it off, we've got Canterbury v Parramatta, and then Central Coast v West Tigers. 10 a.m. is the Bulldogs v Eels game, and Roosters v Tigers at 1 p.m. Tasha Gale Cup is Canterbury v Parramatta at 11:30, followed by Illawarra v Indigenous Academy at 2:30.
Now, Northern Rivers, round 3, you've got to pick your poison because all the games are on at 2:45 on a Sunday.
Yep.
Marsh Brothers host Mullumbimby. Balambula are playing the Tweed Heads. Coogin are hosting Northern. Kyogle up against Ballina. That'll be a good game. Casino hosting Tweed Coast. Byron Bay are up against Lower Clarence. And Evans Head are against Mooloolaba.
Yeah, Kyogle, 2 from 2.
Yeah.
They're hosting Ballina. That's the feature match.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch that because Kyogle have got they're my little tip. You know, every year I get a feeling. A couple of years ago, a year before, maybe I had a feeling about Casino and I think they came like 6th or something.
Yeah.
But this year, Kyogle am feeling my waters, Paul.
All right.
Hosting Ballina, the premiers too.
Yeah, that should be a cracker of a game. Harold Mats on Sunday. The Warriors take on South Sydney. That's at Redfern at 10 a.m. And the other Harold Mats semi-final, Newcastle v Central Coast, is at Lidcombe at 12:30. SG Ball also on Sunday. South Sydney host Parramatta at Redfern at 11:30. And Sydney Roosters take on Canberra at 2 p.m. at Lidcombe.
Right, and just giving my family and friends a heads up, my plans kick off on Thursday night, Illawarra round 1, Thursday night footy, BarTV, Collies are hosting West. So it's 6:30, so it'll be the game. It'll kick off just before the Newcastle Denton Engineering Cup game. The Collies are hosting West Thursday night footy, and if you're nearby, it'll be a cracker of an evening to watch a game of footy.
Yeah.
De La Salle hosts Thurul Saturday at 3 o'clock, and Corrimal up against Dapto Saturday at 3 as well.
Yep. We'll go Group 9. We only do 2 fixtures on Group 9 at the moment. So the 2 games this week is Young hosting Albury on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Junee hosts Brothers. Both games kicking off roughly about 2:30. Junee and Wagga Brothers, that's the Challenge Cup game.
Yeah.
So 2 points up for grabs, plus the Challenge Cup. I think Brothers have 15.5 start.
Right. Which is interesting because the players, everyone will be aware of that on the field. So you might be watching it thinking, Junee is doing pretty well, but Brothers will be going, no, we've got the 4 again.
Yeah, I should mention too, a fortnight ago, South City held the cup. They hosted Junee and gave Junee 10.5 start. Yeah. And the game was 24-22, I believe, that South City won. Yeah. But Junee actually won the prize.
Which is fantastic concept. I'm sure there'll be debate about the points for the start that is given.
Yep.
But that's all part of it, isn't it? There's going to be fans saying, oh, that's too much or that's not enough. But that's the joy of this stuff. You've got to just embrace that and not get too gruff about it. Central Coast round 3 is on this weekend as well. All games, again, Sunday, 3:05. So you got to choose your game and catch up with the mini games afterwards, maybe. Arimba are hosting Erina. Toukley are playing Wyong. Terrigal are hosting Berkeleyvale, and Kincumber are up against Woiwoi.
Yeah, Terrigal v Berkeleyvale's the feature match there at Duffy's Road. So,
right.
Yeah, should be good. If there's soccer going on the next ground, our cameraman and commentator have to duck soccer balls.
Oh, wow.
And vice versa. It's always interesting to watch because you might see a soccer ball fly on the field and the league players just play on, kick it back. vice versa when the league guys.
That's
It's funny.
fantastic.
They just don't even batter an eyelid. They just throw it back. It's like,
Well,
oh, here's your game. This is ours. Yep.
Another concept for another ball on the field. They always
Yeah.
call that. It's like another ball
Yeah.
from another game on
Yeah.
the field. But no, that'll be a cracker of a game.
Yeah. Where are we off to now? Gold Coast, round 3. Runaway Bay hosts Southport. That is an Anzac special day there up there at Bycroft. Currumbin host Burleigh and Helensvale at home to Tugun.
Fantastic. Now we're into round 6 of Brisbane. Wynnum are hosting Carina Saturday at 1:30. Valleys play Saturday against Wests at 3 o'clock, and Souths are hosting Logan Sunday at 1. And Redcliffe have got the bye.
Yep, Sunny Coast, round 4. Biwa host Caboolture. Kawana at home to Nambour. All Saturday games this week.
Yeah.
Noosa at home to Maroochydore, and Caloundra and Stanley River. Coolum have the bye.
There's lovely Saturday evening games I've been catching up with, and so they sort of get home from doing stuff on a Saturday.
Yep.
5:30 kickoff, perfect.
Yeah.
Ipswich kicking off their season,
Yeah.
round 1, kicking off. West End are hosting Fassifern at 2:30 on Saturday. Norths play Redbank Saturday at 4:15, and a 6 o'clock Saturday game, Ipswich against Brothers.
Yeah, I believe it's a magic round to kick off Ipswich.
Excellent.
We have had a few of their junior games on the last month. It's been a lot of rain up there, but yeah, Ipswich Rugby League, welcome aboard BarTV stable in 2025.
Yeah, fantastic. I think there's going to be drier in Queensland this weekend at least. They've had all their rain for the year, hopefully.
A few other comps, as we said, kicking off. We've got Peter McDonald Cup, Group 2, Group 4, Group 3. We've just written a few of the games down there. Any ones that you think, gee, I'd love to just jump in the car and
Well,
watch?
the Dubbo Derby's on.
Yeah.
Dubbo Macquarie and Dubbo Sims, which is always very interesting.
Yep.
There's been a bit of movement around there. And Wellington versus Ningen might be interesting because Ningen seemed like they've put a strong team together. I think Justin Carney's coaching there this year. But Wellington had a breakout season last year, but a pretty strong season last year.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, I'd probably head up the road a bit and watch Port City Wingham. Port City have signed Jared Mullen, so it'd be interesting to see how he goes against the Tigers.
Yeah, that's right. And there was a bit of a slow start to his time there.
Just think, is he signed with Port City Breakers or the Port Macquarie Sharks? I might have got that wrong. Doesn't matter, whichever one.
I was sure of it now. Now I'm confused.
Yeah.
Watch one of them and you'll see Jared Mullen. But yeah, it's pretty ambitious. That's the thing. Like it's not a comp that gets those sort of ex-international big name players unless they're kind of moving up there to kind of semi-retire or stuff. So that'll be very interesting. And I guess in Group 4, we were versus Bogabri could be a really good game to watch as well. It'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
And Tari versus Old Bar kicking off. Tari City versus Gold Bar kicking off Group 3 will be a cracker.
Nice and
well.
close. Yeah. I guess a lot of Macquarie Scorpions too, supporters would be interested in seeing how Mellon goes up there at Group 3.
Yeah, well, from I think it's like through the trials, they've had a bit of a slow start, but he's had a bit of a slow start. But it'll be interesting because he's not young, but he's keen and that kind of stuff. So we'll see how he goes.
Forgot to mention too, we're doing a George Took Shield feature match on BarTV. Not too sure at the moment which is the feature round, but just check the local guides BarTV website to see what the feature match is.
That's all year.
Yeah, it should be a feature match all year of a George Took, hopefully. So George Took, if you're not too familiar, there's Crookwell. Cootamundra used to be in George Took. They've gone back to Group 9 obviously this year, but one of your favourite clubs have slipped down.
That's why
Snowy
I
River.
asked. I said the Snowy River Bears will be on BarTV, I'm sure, at some stage this year, which is fantastic. They're warming up to a big season down that way, and I'm really excited about their prospects.
We'll probably make the feature match of that one as North Canberra Bears v Snowy River Bears, just for
Battle of the Bears. And whether Snowy River Bear is a different kind of bear,
Could be white polar bear, maybe.
Yeah, you feel like they got a thicker coat or something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, that's the CRL show for another week. Hope you enjoyed. As I said, plenty of footy happening on BarTV. Make sure you get out to a game, support your local footy club. If not, well then subscribe, watch them on BarTV. You not only get to watch one team, your favourite team, but 100 others, maybe more.
I know, right through from Thursday night, right through till Sunday. So it's plenty of footy on this weekend.
Yeah. All right, we'll catch you next week.